Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel for marriage-minded men. About 10 years ago, I was looking for a wife from the Philippines, and I had to think of some questions to ask. Now, I didn't go into these questions, but thinking back on it, because we got married so quickly, these are good questions to ask about your Filipina sexual past or anybody else that you intend to marry. Now, I don't know if this has ever been on your mind, because of the stereotypes of some Filipinas. Foreigners interested in them have wondered if they should inquire about the sexual past of a woman they're interested in. On the one hand, it seems like a fair question simply because you would want to know because of at least a couple reasons. One, you might wonder if she has a sexually transmitted disease, STD. Another is if she might be promiscuous. That's why you would ask. You don't want to catch something from her, and you would like to be assured that you would be marrying someone that you can trust. I'm going to give you 7 questions to ask if you are so inclined to a Filipina from the other side of the world that you don't know all that well yet, and probably don't know others that know her too well yet. So please leave comments and subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea to learn how to have a successful, long-lasting marriage to a Filipina or anyone else. And nothing is really off limits. And real quick, before I get into that, this will probably bother some. It's my opinion that if you are not a virgin, then you shouldn't be avoiding a woman who is also not a virgin. And if you have lost control of the woman, you should be able to understand how she could lose control with a man. If you are a virgin man, then I hope you can find a virgin woman to marry. Now, you can ask her about her views of contraception and her views on abortion. That will tell you some things. You can also ask her if she has ever been molested. Now, of course, that isn't of her own choosing, of course, but I think it's appropriate to ask her if you want, because if she has, she may need counseling. She may not have recovered from that or even know how. Another question, have you suffered sexual abuse? This is like the previous question. I think it's reasonable for her to ask you about things like this, or reasonable for you to ask her about something like this for similar reasons as before. Traumatic experiences like this can be very difficult to get over, and it happens, and you have a right to know. She might not bring it up on her own. If she happens to be a victim of abuse, I think you should know if you're thinking about marrying her, and she should get counseling if she needs it. There's no reason to assume that she has recovered or to assume that she has even started to deal with this trauma. And if she hasn't, then the answers to these questions are easy. And there's no reason you can't ask them, in my opinion. But let me know what you think by leaving a comment. Another one, have you been affected by pornography? I hope she hasn't, but if she has, this could end up affecting your relationship with her. Here in America, porn use among women is increasing, but I don't know about other countries. Nevertheless, this is something to ask. Another one, you might be afraid to ask, but you shouldn't be afraid to ask any of these. How many sexual partners have you had? And I would prefer this question to be answered on the woman's initiative without having to pry it out of her. I must admit, I would be hesitant to ask this, but I would want to know. If you're hesitant to ask this question, you might be able to get the answer by revealing your past sexual experiences first and then seeing if she follows suit. Otherwise, just ask. If you're hesitant to reveal your past, I think you would be withholding information from her that she would want to know. Some of you guys might not have any qualms about asking this normally private question, but I am bringing it up because it could be on the mind of a foreigner wanting to marry a Filipina who thinks it's wrong to ask. I believe going into a marriage that there can't be anything either one is ashamed or unwilling to talk about. Uncomfortable? of course, after marriage, though, is not the time to discover something that you consider a deal breaker. Before even asking a question like this, you need to be able to tell her why it concerns you. You could say something like, "You haven't given me any indication you are a promiscuous woman, and I am serious about you. I don't expect you to be perfect. I've certainly done things I shouldn't have, but can you please tell me if you have been sexually active with other men? And I won't leave you if you say you have had other guys, but I would feel better feeling like I know you well enough to ask this question." Moving on, another question: have you been tested for STDs, HIV? When someone once told me that they think they're going to ask their Filipina prospect to get tested, I had to think about that one for a while. I certainly understood his concern, but what I was wondering was if there was a good way to go about asking it. I don't think you can be concerned about how she takes it, though. It's a sensible question to ask no matter where the woman lives. Just kind of hard to broach that topic. If she has had no sexual past, well, then she should be proud of it, not ashamed. And if she has some people could be ashamed that they don't have a sexual past, but no, they should be happy about that. And if she has had a sexual past, I think she should be willing to address his concerns. And that works both ways. Myself, as a Christian, I believe in forgiveness. If a woman took exception to being asked about her past, I would understand. However, if this is something critical for someone, then they would need to discuss it in detail. Another one: would you be willing to go in for testing again before we get more involved? If I was asked this question by the woman, I would immediately say yes. If we had already talked about our past and I thought we were done talking about it, I might be a little miffed, but I would still say yes. Saying no would just make me look guilty, and passing the test would show her I don't have an STD. Refusing to make me look guilty. Yes, it is a sensitive question, but one that is a fair one. My hope would be that two adults would simply understand that this is something that you would want to know. I've heard many guys, since I have a channel, voice their concern about this. Something you should know, not because she lives in another country where there is a stereotype that Filipinos are easy. Plenty of them have morals and integrity, but because just people are people are people. I have been completely honest with my wife in anything. We've been married 10 years, and I'm always asking her to be completely honest with me about everything, because I need to be her safe place. She needs to feel that she can share anything with me. As far as this whole thing, sexual temptation, I think is at the top of the list for most men and even women too. If you were hesitant to ask a question about her sexual past, could it be that you don't want her to do the same? If you're not willing to talk to her about your past, if she inquires, she is likely to move on, and you might do the same. If this is a concern to you, I encourage you to engage her about it without fear. There shouldn't be anything off limits with your potential love beyond the sea.